Crown has you covered. Start your day with the first word. Cincinnati's only morning sports show. Power through midday with the working lunch. Cincinnati business talk that keeps you in the know. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And the Rebound Rundown covers every corner of the college basketball scene in the tri-state and beyond. This is The Crown. Built for Cincinnati. First word for your morning sports. The working lunch for business that hits home. Nat tries that for lifestyle around the city. And Rebound Rundown for college hoops. This city deserves its crown. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Midday in the Queen City, business is booming. We've got an update on billions being spent in an acquisition, along with thousands of jobs being cut, and fueling art to fuel business to fuel art. Let's do lunch.
Cincinnati is a city that means business. Fortune 500 company HQs, renowned institutions like Children's Hospital and the Cincinnati Zoo, and letters that everyone here knows: TQL, GE, CVG, UC, and X. It's also a city that's large enough for new ideas to take root and grow. You know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody, and you're in business. I'm Jack Crumley, and this is The Working Lunch.
Hello, welcome to The Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. This is our hour-long business show here on The Crown, where we bring you updates on the activities of local businesses and companies. We bring you exclusive interviews with business leaders and local CEOs, and also try to squeeze in a bite to eat, maybe something to drink before you go back to face the afternoon. My mom wanted me to throw in the idea that we sprinkle a little bit of humor in there. I don't know that we need to have that be part of the opening. We're workshopping it. We'll see. Cincinnati business headlines to start off with. Presented by First State Bank, built on belief and committed to doing right by our communities. First State Bank offers checking, savings, and mortgage services all from your phone. They believe in this community and they believe in you. Visit FSB4me.com. That's First State Bank, member FDIC, and equal housing lender. The big local business story this morning coming from P&G. Procter & Gamble has announced that it is acquiring the supplements maker called Thorne, reportedly for $3.8 billion. P&G, in a statement, says this is to meet a growing demand for self-care and wellness products. It calls Thorne a highly trusted brand with a strong reputation. P&G's current beauty and wellness division was one that posted strong results recently in an earnings report, even as the consumer products maker is expecting slower annual sales growth. The company just yesterday made a new regulatory filing to show that it's cut 5,000 jobs amid a restructuring plan that was announced last year, looking to eliminate 7,000 jobs total. Many of those could be coming from the local P&G HQ. Also, remember, Procter & Gamble's building a big expansion to its campus in Mason to the tune of $450 million. A big headline on the Business Courier this morning is about a lawsuit that's been filed now against the Cincinnati Planning Commission. A West Price Hill man has filed suit saying that the commission acted illegally in June when it went into executive session just before it agreed to a plan that puts low-income housing at the site of the former Western Hills Sports Mall. That West Price Hill man wants to block the city from signing off on the proposed $57 million development called Westline Flats, which would put in multiple buildings along Ferguson Road. 167 units across multiple buildings, priced for those making 60% of the area's median income. Members of the public have spent some time arguing against that proposal, although the Courier says the proposal does have the support of the Westwood Civic Association, Westwood Works, and Westwood Community Urban Redevelopment Corporation. The Western Hills Sports Mall is over 9,000 square feet, and it's been sitting on more than 4 acres of land, and it's been vacant since a fire there back in 2022. We'll see what the court has to say about all that. And lastly, this is a funny one. Last week Tonight host John Oliver, whom I think has been doing some of the best television on television the last few years, recently did a story about how the gas station convenience store chain Buc-ee's really likes to sue other companies that have cartoon animal mascots. At least a dozen cases filed in recent years. And the defendants in these cases are oftentimes small businesses that just can't afford to fight Buc-ee's in court. The bit that John Oliver did ended with John daring Buc-ee's to sue his show over their new rodent mascot. It was a really good bit. John's a stinker. Since then, there has been word that Buc-ee's is now suing Beaver's Mini Mart in Beaver Creek. That's a small little convenience store. They've got a GoFundMe that somebody's put up. That's a picture from the GoFundMe that's been established, that's now seen over 450 people giving more than $17,000 to help with that little store's legal fees. By the way, this is a store in Beaver Creek. Doesn't have gas stations. As far as I know, it doesn't promote its bathrooms in any kind of way like Buc-ee's does. Since that lawsuit was filed, though, a number of other businesses in Southwest Ohio have come out to show their support for Beaver's Mini Mart. This one might be my favorite. Fishbowl at the Banks posted that on Instagram recently. Fishbowl at the Banks is 60 miles away from Beaver's Mini Mart. They're taking their shot. Doesn't even really matter if this is just spur-of-the-moment marketing or not, trying to jump on a current event. It's fun. Rabbit Hole Books in Dayton, Ohio put this on their Facebook saying, "Come and get us Buc-ee's. You don't own every beaver," which is an objectively great sentence. The village of Yellow Springs, Ohio made a post just yesterday. There we go. Saying, "We ride at dawn." There are a lot of businesses and organizations that are using generative AI to also get on the action, which I guess is like those old 80s cartoons where, you know, they do an anti-drug episode and you'd end up having G.I. Joe having to team up with Cobra in order to fight capital D drugs. I do think it's very different to not see what Buc-ee's is doing as anything other than bullying. Buc-ee's doesn't own the concept of beavers. And I don't think that a little convenience store with a dumb beaver logo in Beaver Creek is any kind of threat to Buc-ee's brand. Everyone getting on that John Oliver trolling train. We are shifting now to Jack's Big Bite. That's where we focus on one particular story happening in our community, a community we believe in with our partners at First State Bank. Stop into one of their local branches or visit online fsb4me.com to access all the helpful tools and services at First State Bank, built on belief and committed to doing right by our communities. For today's Big Bite, presented by First State Bank, we are at the intersection of the arts and nonprofits and also corporations, the money that flows from one to another, specifically in this community. ArtsWave is the largest community arts organization in the country, with roots going back to the year 1927. That's when Anna Sinton Taft and Charles Phelps Taft challenged the people of Cincinnati to invest in the arts along with them. That sparked a community-wide movement that became the foundation of ArtsWave's unique funding model. And honestly, this is one of my very favorite things about this city. It's one of the cornerstones of topics on this show. Cincinnati's arts ecosystem has been built through the support from businesses, employees, foundations, and of course individual grassroots donors. Now you may be asking yourself, does ArtsWave have a really good self-produced video covering their work all through the community? Why, yes. Yes, they do. Take a look.
When you went to school, you never did start with trigonometry. You didn't write an essay. You got crayons or paints and a piece of paper. You made art. That's how we start. That's how every kid anywhere on planet Earth started life.
I think it'd be weird if they didn't have a video like that, right? Ray Gargano is on the show today. He is the ArtsWave VP Community Impact. Just last month, the ArtsWave Board of Trustees approved over $8.9 million in sustaining impact grants to 46 local arts organizations, the first sustaining impact grant cycle as ArtsWave heads into its 100th anniversary next year. This is the nonprofit's largest and most consistent form of support, multi-year operating funding that helps arts and cultural organizations maintain financial stability. And that's not the only way that it supports those organizations. ArtsWave's most recent reporting right there shows that the arts here have had a total economic impact of more than $1.5 billion over the last 4 years. That is everything from regional theater productions to the Cincinnati Symphony, from the Young Professionals Choral Collective to Blink. As far as how all that breaks down, just in the year 2022, over $250 million in direct impact, and nearly that same amount indirectly, over 6,000 total jobs because of the arts that year, and over $15 million in taxes generated. The majority of those taxes, local taxes. That's more than the total impact from 2019, which was the last big year before COVID yanked the rug out from under everyone. I remember talking to college students in the year 2020 who were majoring in theater, and it's like, well, what do you do? Some of them were getting creative with outdoor performances, but the bottom line for this show is a big drop in arts programs means a big drop in money generated and jobs supported. Recent studies conducted in partnership with the Cincinnati Regional Chamber show that since 2015, nonprofit arts and culture organizations have driven hundreds of millions of dollars in capital investment across the region. Projects like the renovations at Music Hall, the new Cincinnati Shakespeare Company Theater, those are just nearby here, updates to Playhouse in the Park, and restoration efforts at the Emory Theater are reshaping the region physically and economically. And the main way that ArtsWave raises the funds for all those projects is the annual ArtsWave campaign, which just closed out this past May, generating this year just over $12 million. That is coming from 20,000 people who stepped up to donate. This year's campaign also saw several regional initiatives able to expand. A program called More Arts, More Kids reached full program capacity for free arts field trips for thousands of students in multiple school districts all across the region. The Hamilton City Schools and the Fitton Center were added as partners. Funds raised through the 2026 ArtsWave campaign support more than 150 organizations, projects, and artists, fueling thousands of performances, exhibitions, public art projects, arts education programs, and festivals. It's what makes life here in the tri-state more enjoyable. It helps with hiring. It gets Cincinnati noticed by other cities. It's a boon to business in this area. We got to take a break. When we come back, we will talk to ArtsWave Vice President of Community Impact, Ray Gargano. You are watching The Working Lunch on The Crown. Have some stocks of local interest for you. We got more coming up. Stick around.
Our beliefs matter. They're reflected in our words and actions. At First State Bank, we believe in treating people well, and have since 1884. Listening, caring, looking out for each other. It's what people deserve. It's what a real local bank does. While lots of things have changed over the years, our belief in you hasn't. First State Bank, built on belief.
My name is Jack Crumley. I've been covering news in Cincinnati on the radio for the last 20 years. I grew up in Northeast Ohio, but Cincinnati has always felt like home since day one. I've seen so many things accomplished here, and now, with the Working Lunch, I get to write, read, and talk about them every day. Hard-working people with a drive and a dream. Innovative ideas that help shape this city. Cincinnati is a great city, and I'm excited to tell you about it every day. Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. I am joined now by ArtsWave's VP, is it VP of Community Impact? VP of Community Impact. Ray Gargano is joining us. You are not the only voice in the room when it comes to the grants that ArtsWave makes and the money that gets doled out, but I think you're a big player in the process.
Well, I think I manage the process, but it's really an open forum for the community to participate in it so that people that we raise the money from get an opportunity to be part of the voice of how we distribute the money.
So you work for ArtsWave is the longest running, the largest, United Arts nonprofit fundraiser in the country.
Right.
Does that bring with it any sense of pressure to what you're doing day to day?
Well, I think it's an honor that it has survived so long in Cincinnati, and we have the support of the community. The 100-year tradition of ArtsWave and what we've been doing is amazing. But if you compare us to other cities, we're one of the few cities that have no governmental support, and there's not an Office of Arts and Culture through the city or the county that donates that money because of, it's almost a double-edged sword. We have that 100-year tradition of the community supporting the arts, that we don't have that government support. So it's more of a responsibility that we have for all of the arts organizations and for the community in general.
Yeah, you mentioned double-edged sword. Is there a sense of, because ArtsWave has been going for 100 years and because it's so ingrained in this city culturally, is there a sense that maybe people tend to take it for granted sometimes?
I don't know if people take us for granted, but I'm not sure everyone understands our process and that we raise the money that's available out there and it goes directly into the arts organizations. As costs rise, we need more money. As the temperature for philanthropy in our community might not be as strong as it used to be. We're not raising the same amount, proportionately. So we need to continue to talk about our message and figure out how that all works together.
And you're juggling, there's a lot of different sort of avenues that ArtsWave is working with. There's a lot of plates that are being spun. There's certainly the grassroots outreach that's going on, but then you guys also have a number of corporate sponsors and working with all the businesses here in this city. Like I said in the last segment, that's one of my favorite things to talk about is the way this city and the companies in it step up and are a part of a bunch of different festivals and arts programming and all sorts of things that affect life in this town.
That's exactly right. We are so fortunate to have such important companies who want to partner with the arts. We talk to the CEOs and all of the employees who understand the value of the arts for living in a community. The CEOs of these companies want the arts because when they're bringing in people for the jobs, they want a place where they can lure people to live a vibrant and healthy life, and there are things to do all the time. And they realize that by supporting the arts, we continue to make that happen.
So does that seem weird to you then, that there aren't more cities that copy the model here?
I think we are very fortunate that we have it, and I've been to other cities.
Yeah.
I've lived in other cities that don't have it. You know, there is a love for the arts all over the country, most definitely. But I really think that it's a tradition here that's lasted for 100 years, or even longer than 100 years, definitely. But the community is so proud of the arts, so proud. If you just drive around, when I was moving here, one of my colleagues took me on a tour around the city and showed me all of the different buildings, the arts buildings and venues. And I'm like, there is no other city that has invested this much money in individual arts institutions. And now that I'm living here for just over 5 years, I see that. I see that pride in people. I see how people want to support it and want to continue to see that growth happening. So many of the examples you gave in the opening, the Emery Theater just opened. That was the original home of the Children's Theater. It had been quite a few different things. It sat empty for so many years, and the people wanted to bring it back home, and they wanted to have the best children's theater that a city could offer. And, you know, that kind of investment in other cities, especially for youth and for children's theater, is not always where a priority is. So we're very lucky.
Well, and, you know, talking about going around and pointing out all the different arts, you know, affiliated buildings in the city, at that same point, the number of places you can go around and see the Arts Wave logo as a part of decorations or banners. I was just walking around the corner the other day. SCPA is right around the corner here from us, and they've got a banner advertising some local school theater productions that are coming up, and I saw right on there's the Arts Wave banner. You guys fuel so many different programs around this city. We
do, and we're so happy to open our arms to as many organizations and groups that we can, most definitely. We do that. We have our Sustaining Impact grants that you talked about, but we do have multiple project grants too for individual schools or other organizations in the arts who are not in that cohort of Sustaining Impact to apply for project grants.
Yeah, so speaking of the Sustaining Impact grant, we've got the list right here. So this is, about maybe 4 dozen organizations that got money this year, and we mentioned what the Sustaining Impact grant was. This is multi-year funding to really help stabilize a given organization. This is giving them legs. It's not just a quick injection.
Well, sort of. There's a little nuance to that. It is general operating support, so it's unrestricted. So this is the things that they say aren't sexy to raise money for, so they can pay for their rent, they can pay for the lights, they can pay for salaries out of this, which a lot of foundations, you know, aren't keen on. They want to see shiny projects. So I think that's one of the benefits of Sustaining Impact. That the term Sustaining Impact, the impact is really part of the important element of our grant making. You know, because of this 100-year tradition and the economic study, we still continue to talk about that, but that's not the main focus in Cincinnati. We know that there's economic vitality because of the arts, and some of those statistics that you showed prove that. And I think the community believes in that, and that's why they donate to us. But about 10 years ago, we started a social impact movement, and all of our grant making is based on our Blueprint for Collective Action, which are 5 social impact goals, because we know that the arts aren't just about entertainment. It changes the community. It makes us more connected. It makes our neighborhoods more vibrant, right? It builds bridges across communities so people feel welcome in different spaces. Youth, right? It creates a healthy lifestyle and a motivating work day for the students to go to school. So even though it's sustaining impact, it's not necessarily to sustain the organizations. In our cohort for Sustaining Impact, we like to say that those organizations are already healthy and they're sustaining themselves. What we do is help them supplement that so that they can really focus on that community impact. Right. So those 5 goals. Yeah, and you know, you mentioned like little kids and stuff. I love the quote from that guy at the fitness center in the beginning of that one video talking about how when you're a little kid and you're first going to school, you're not starting out with trigonometry or writing an essay. You get crayons and you're drawing, and that's just as much important learning as anything else. Absolutely. You know, there are so many academic benefits that have been proven for years and years of studies about the arts and education, but especially post-COVID, where relationships were lost, students didn't know how to act socially again. the arts really work on those social emotional skills for kids. They teach them how to interact, how to put themselves in other people's shoes, how to be empathetic, and really just to be better humans, right? We're not trying to always make the next Broadway star or the next Picasso, but we want to make good people.
Well, and how to communicate, just being able to hear somebody else telling a story and you telling your own story. I can get philosophical about the arts forever. Yes. But, you know, we've got the list here of the Sustaining Impact Grant recipients, and I'm just, you know, there's so many, you know, staples of this community that are on here. Cincinnati Playhouse in the Park, Cincinnati Opera, Cincinnati Landmark Productions, which is a favorite of mine out there on the west side, the Youth Choir, the Kennedy Heights Arts Center. It's big and small. Are there any organizations on this list from this year's impact grants that really stood out to you in the process of when they were being distributed?
Yeah, absolutely. On the West End, Q Kids Dance Company came in this year for the first year, so they'll be receiving the same funding for the next 3 years, so they can do a little more planning. But their story is so amazing. It's Kwesi started the organization 44 years ago, and it's been sort of a mom and pop shop, just the mom shop, I guess. And whenever something needed to happen, she would pull it out of her pocket, right? If a kid needed a new shirt or a dance costume, she would pull it out of her own pocket. And now they're realizing, hey, we want to sustain this organization for the future because it does have such impact in the neighborhood. Her two daughters are now working with her, and she's ready to retire, and she's like, girls, we want you to take over the organization. And they're like, well, we need a paycheck too. So this is just one of their ways of, they demonstrate that social impact every day in their work, and now this is a way for them to formalize it and secure a future for the organization.
And those things you just described there, what they're demonstrating, that's part of the application for this grant, right? You're filling out forms and describing what you do and the impact that you have, whether we're talking quantitatively or, in this case with a lot of arts programs, qualitatively.
Absolutely. You know, the money doesn't come for free. We do collect a lot of data from these organizations, and we ask them to look at those 5 social impact goals and set goals every year so that we can track some of that and really talk to the community about the changes we're seeing.
Yeah. Getting ready for the centennial. We're talking 100 years now for ArtsWave. Yes. Does that put more pressure because you really want to make a big splash on that 100 years?
Yeah, I think we're just so proud of the work we're doing and proud of the people who have come before us. We want to show up and show up great. Our theme is Make Your Mark, and that really starts with us. We want to make our mark on the campaign, ArtsWave in Cincinnati, but we're asking the community to make their mark as well.
Yeah, that's got to be part of the pitch when you're working with all these big companies that are heavily involved in the cultural aspects of this city. Hey guys, it's coming up to the 100 years. We really want to make a big impact on this go. Let's crack open the checkbook a little bit wider.
Absolutely. We're so successful in Cincinnati, including when we compare ourselves to other United Arts, because we have that 100-year history, and we have those donations that have built that endowment that we've had. And to make it for the next 100 years, we need to continue that endowment building, and we need to set up the next 100 years so all of the organizations can survive and thrive as well.
Yeah, I feel like you guys do there's a lot of communication, there's a lot of, like I said, so different plates that you're spinning between the corporate support and keeping the message out to people, the grassroots support. How much government interaction do you guys have as far as like the feds getting involved?
Yeah, so things have changed recently, and we've really had to look at what the investment is that we have. We've always supported local, so we raise our money locally and then we distribute it locally.
Because that's where the impact is anyway.
Exactly. ArtsWave, about 5 years ago when I got here, we were designated as the official local arts agency for our region, and that means that we can get federal dollars. And we have applied year over year for the National Endowment for the Arts. So we received some of that funding. But if you think about the National Endowment for the Arts, they have just a few $1 million for the entire country.
Sure.
So, and As ArtsWave, we want to make sure that the organizations we support have that edge, so we don't compete with that, raising that same money.
Yeah, well, and again, you've got such strong local ties and grassroots connection and motivation that you know, we're building from the ground up versus from the top down.
Exactly.
Ray Gargano is the Vice President of Community Impact for ArtsWave, a great nonprofit here in this city doing a lot of great work, fueling a lot of other programs. We got more with Ray coming up after the break. You're watching The Working Lunch on The Crown.
Okay, who are you?
Well, you have a First State Bank checking account, so you'll be getting cash back whenever you use it.
Oh,
Open a checking account at First State Bank for cash back. First State Bank, built on belief.
how did you get in here?
What is The Crown? It's simple, really. Authentic Cincinnati entertainment. Not hot takes from a studio 3 states away. Not national noise pretending to know this city. Rather, bringing a voice to those who call the Queen City home. Where can I watch The Crown shows? Join us live from 7 to 11 a.m. for First Word and 12 to 1 for The Working Lunch on RESN. No live TV? No problem. Stream and interact with all of our content on major podcast, broadcast, and streaming platforms. The Crown is Cincinnati. Loud, passionate, competitive, proud. From early morning sports debates to the business leaders shaping the riverfront, to the fans, stories, moments, and culture that make this place move. Live shows, podcasts, documentaries, digital content built from Cincinnati, for Cincinnati. This is The Crown.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. I'm Jack Crumley. I am joined by Ray Gargano, the Vice President of Community Impact for ArtsWave, the nonprofit in town for fueling arts programs all throughout the region. Ray, you've been doing this for a number of years with ArtsWave specifically, but you've got like 20 years of arts fundraising experience. Is that what you went to school for specifically?
I didn't. I started in education, so I was a high school English theater teacher, all of that in northeastern Ohio. And then when I transitioned from the classroom, I went to Playhouse Square in Cleveland, working in the arts education department. And it took me a while to find my way into philanthropy.
Yeah. What was the motivation to maybe move out of teaching and education, which is a little bit philanthropy in its own way, into maybe capital P philanthropy?
Sure. Well, teaching is the hardest job in the world, and I did it for about 10 years, and I think anyone in the education profession who can last longer than that, God love them. But I just also knew that I wanted more for myself, too, and I wanted to explore different things. I've tapped out of giving everything I had to the kids after 10 years, so I needed to refresh myself too. So I knew I would always be in education some sort of way. So when I got to take my education background into the arts, especially at the Performing Arts Center, and create more educational opportunities for more students, it seemed like a win-win situation.
Yeah, no, that's great.
Yeah.
I looked up your resume a little bit as far as different places where you've worked, and I know there's a little bit of you've been traveling a lot over these 20-odd years. It was Cleveland doing Playhouse Square, and then did you go like to California after that?
I went to Florida first. My brother and sister lived there, so I wanted to, get closer to family and worked there for a little while. Then I got offered a job in Madison, Wisconsin, eventually, doing the same arts education work in performing arts centers. And then I moved out to California. Quick little story. I went to the Santa Rosa Luther Burbank Center to start an education department there. And about 6 months after I got there, one of the huge fires came through. So I got to experience life, which I didn't think I would. But what you see on TV, that just panic of the fires and how it changes a community and changes life, it was really true. So, my rent went from $2,000 for a one-bedroom to $5,000. And I got an opportunity in the city of Sacramento in doing arts education for that. When I got there, it was a city job. It was the Office of Arts and Culture within the city, and I had been bumped from my position because that's how the union worked there. And they said, that position's been filled, even though I was offered the job.
Yeah.
And they said, but we have a grant-making position available.
Okay.
And I said, well, I didn't know anything about grant-making. And they said, you'll learn. So I did, very much so. And it's so connected to the work. I have been years and years asking for money, so now I got to be on the other side of that. And I think it gives me a great perspective when we're running the system of grant-making.
Interesting. What did you notice? What have you learned in places like being in Florida and being in Madison and then Sacramento and now coming back here as far as, are there things that you learned about the way those communities handle arts funding, arts programming, arts education that figures into the way that you do things here?
Yeah, it's really where the money is. That's a lot of it, and how the community supports the arts. I was in Orlando, in Orange County, Florida, and Disney is there. There was a lot of money flowing, right? And so there was a lot of experimentation. The restrictions were a little bit different from how we treat it now. In Sacramento, it was part of the city government, so funding was very much limited, and it was always making the argument we were talking about earlier about there are so much social service needs in the community. How do we put money toward the arts? So it was always making that argument about the arts are more than just entertainment. And not all of these cities have that 100-year history like we do. So it was constantly defending the economic impact and that social impact to get those dollars raised. And then there is always the need, no matter where you go. And I think the leadership in each community makes such a difference.
Yeah, absolutely, because whoever's at the helm is going to set the priority on things. I think that you were also in a pretty unique situation as far as from an arts perspective, being in, were you in Sacramento when COVID hit, right? And then all of a sudden funding for so many things, whether or not they had the ability to even be executed, but the funding itself started drying up. From your perspective, what was that all like?
Absolutely. You know, we were fortunate as a country that we received a lot of federal dollars at that time, but not everyone was staffed for it. So I was the lone grant maker in Sacramento, and my annual budget was about $1.5 million. And when COVID hit, we got $20 million allocated just to the arts. So then we had to figure out an entire system. How do we track this? How do we make sure that it's equitable? How do we make sure that our community in the arts survives and thrives through this process? And it was challenging. And I will say, working as part of a government system, the bureaucracy argument is very true, right? It took a lot of time to figure out how to make all of that work and all of the steps to get that money out. So even though it was very generous to get $20 million, it was a challenge getting it out quickly to the people who needed it.
Yeah, it's like drinking out of a fire hose.
Yeah.
And then also specifically that money is for use in the moment. It's not like that's money you're supposed to be able to sock away for long-term planning or savings or anything like that. That's to keep things going right now.
Very true. I mean, looking back in hindsight, I think it was a great plan to keep people getting paid, keeping them surviving, living their everyday lives. I made the transition here right in the middle of COVID, so it was the CARES Act dollars that we got in Sacramento, and I came here right when the ARPA funds were coming through.
Okay.
And that was really about how do we restart our communities, right? Those dollars could be used for planning over the next few years. So we were very fortunate to get those dollars again through the county here and through the city, and because ArtsWave has that relationship with the government, local government. We have the background in making all of these systems happen. We were able to receive those dollars and get those out very quickly because we didn't have all of the bureaucracy and we had a system already in place to make it happen, a system that people trust.
What do you see? The system that people trust, I think, is huge. What do you see as maybe the biggest challenge going forward with now that we're, past the COVID stuff and trying to drum up arts funding? Certainly the relationships that ArtsWave has with the corporate community here in this city is really big. What do you see as far as headwinds or challenges, not just for the 100-year anniversary that ArtsWave has coming up, but just trying to keep the funding flowing?
Yeah. Well, I think you probably noticed that society has changed a little bit since COVID and people's habits are different. So our organizations did an amazing job of figuring out how to make those dollars stretch as they rebuilt and as they looked at what's the new normal especially in our region. And, people are used to staying at home more now. They're used to watching Netflix and finding other entertainment. So it took a while for audiences to return to all of the arts. And there's still, when do we buy tickets? Is there a cash flow? Do we buy that subscription series? So that, there's a lot of details in that. And I think it wasn't until this year, this cycle of Sustaining Impact, that the organizations really took a hard look at where are we now? How are they right-sizing for the future, and how are they investing in their own organization for the next few years?
Yeah, is that's a big philosophy in your approach to the whole grant-making process?
Absolutely. Yeah, we want to make sure that we're looking at the future and that organizations are setting up a plan to stay healthy.
Is it tough, though? I mean, you got to kind of be the adult in the room a little bit. Not that there's necessarily kids that are trying to get this money, but if there's a group that really believes in what they're doing, but maybe they don't have the best organization or the best infrastructure, is there a sense of, well, maybe they'll learn to grow, or you got to show me what you've got, and it's a yes or no kind of thing?
I think that's what puts ArtsWave. It separates us from other regular foundations. Not only are we just supporting the arts organizations, but we really create a connected community within those organizations. That's why we call it a cohort. We meet regularly. The CPOs, the chief professional officers, meet regularly to talk through those issues. So we don't have to make those decisions. We listen to the voice of the organization. We let them help each other. We help them when needed. And they have those conversations about where are we all? Where are all of the theater organizations working together and moving to? Where are all of the visual arts? So we don't have to be that mom and pop. We have some really great leaders in our organizations.
Yeah. So you had the Sustaining Impact Grant announcement. That was in May. When is the next campaign starts in the fall, in a couple of months?
It does. The campaign It's sort of ongoing, but our official time is from February to May. And so that will be the official 100th anniversary celebration. We have quite a few great things planned. We're doing 100 days of arts through that time. So every day around the city, there'll be an arts opportunity that we'll talk about. Some are free, some will be paid, some will already exist, some will be new. Leading up to that, we're the illuminating sponsor of Blink again this year.
That small little festival.
And we're very happy to support a new activity before that. It's called Cincy Arts Week. So Cincy Nice is really focusing on putting together a space and place for all of those artists in our community and all the artists coming in from Blink to have an experience together. So they're taking storefronts, venues, and creating a whole bunch of activities from Photo Focus, which will be about October 3rd that weekend, all the way through Blink. So I hope we're going to see a lot more activity and a lot more opportunity for everyone in our community at that time.
I think it's really exciting. Yeah. I think ArtsWave is one of the marquee organizations in this city. You guys do so much to fuel so much creativity that's here in the city, whether we're talking about theater, whether we're talking about music, the culinary arts. We didn't even really get into the way that food plays a role in things. It's all culture, it's all storytelling, and the idea that all this gets fueled by so many businesses and corporate partners in this city helps it with the specific intent of making things better to live around here. And I think that really, it makes Cincinnati such a unique place. And you've bounced around, you've seen how unique we are here.
Absolutely. I made the right choice, most definitely.
It's really tremendous. Ray Gargano is the Vice President of Community Impact for ArtsWave. The fundraising is ongoing, the need is ongoing. Check out ArtsWave's website for more. We've got to take a break here on The Working Lunch. We'll be back with more coming up. You're watching The Crown. Stick around.
Our beliefs matter. They're reflected in our words and actions. At First State Bank, we believe in treating people well, and have since 1884. Listening, caring, looking out for each other. It's what people deserve. It's what a real local bank does. While lots of things have changed over the years, our belief in you hasn't. First State Bank, built on belief.
This is the Rebound Rundown. I'm your host, Paul Fritchner. Your home for college basketball in the Cincinnati area and across the country every Monday through Friday during the season. Previews, recaps, breakdowns, interviews, and more. You can find it all right here. Your one-stop shop for a quick dose of college hoops on your morning commute. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, my name is Natalie Jones, a Cincinnati native, and I have been in media for about 10 years now. Formerly on the radio here in Cincinnati, I grew my love and obsession with finding all things fun in Cincinnati and have now made it my life. I'm originally from the West Side here, and then I've pretty much been a downtown girl ever since college. But I did leave for 7 years, and during that time, I really grew and harnessed and cut my teeth doing stand-up comedy in Los Angeles, learning how to ski in Colorado, and now I'm back here in Cincinnati, driven by curiosity and grounded by family.
Welcome back to the Working Lunch. Couple things as we wrap up the show here on a Wednesday. I saw this in City Beat the other day, and I wanted to make sure that y'all knew about it. Chef and owner of Nolia, that really great restaurant that's been making a lot of acclaim the last couple of years, Jeff Harris, is bringing back his Jimmy Lou's restaurant. This was a spot that was originally in Oakley Food Hall. It closed down. Now Jimmy Lou's is coming to Broadway in the Pendleton neighborhood. This place is going to be serving Cajun comfort food. It's been a tribute to his grandmother. It's going to have a much more casual vibe than Nolia has, and some of the writing, again, that I saw written up in City Beat about it, bringing back po' boys, and he's going to have roasted oysters and Louisiana fried chicken. He told City Beat that he is looking to source fish from the Gulf of Mexico. That's really exciting. That should be opening in Pendleton later on this year. That's going to be Jimmy Lou's. A little bit of a shift here, talking big business. Disney posted its quarterly results this morning. It did way better for earnings than what Wall Street was expecting. Disney, just a beast of a money-making machine. But Disney did fall just a little bit short of estimates for revenue. When it comes to things like theme parks and Disney cruises, revenue was up 10% year over year, seeing nearly $10 billion. That's in revenue. Disney parks attendance in the U.S. was up 3%, and that up 3% comes even though neighboring competitive theme parks, say in other parts of Orlando like Universal, saw lower attendance. Disney streaming services saw gains as well. That can be a bit of a money-making challenge at times for a lot of other companies. Disney streaming services like Disney Plus and Hulu, over $5.5 billion in revenue for the quarter, up 11%. CNBC says that growth was propelled by, say it with me, price hikes for subscribers. Something that a lot of people are kind of trapped in. Where else are you going to go? Toy Story 5 was a bright spot for Disney, now doing $1 billion in box office worldwide. And there was a little blurb in Variety with a piece on Disney CEO Josh D'Amaro talking about financially disappointing movies that Disney has done, like The Mandalorian and Grogu, along with live-action Moana. He said even though not as many people bought tickets to those movies, they still fueled merchandise sales and more. The earnings release saying, quote, "These franchise investments contributed to value creation beyond their theatrical releases, making money even when they don't make money." This is the Working Lunch. I want to thank my guest, Ray Gargano, the Vice President of Community Impact for ArtsWave, talking about all the different programs that are fueled by ArtsWave's recently announced Community Sustaining Impact grants. Dozens of organizations getting a lot of money that's been raised by ArtsWave. ArtsWave, I think, really going out of its way to demonstrate what a good steward of that money it is, between all the grassroots donations that they get and the corporate sponsorship that this city is so good about. ArtsWave is very transparent about the way it receives the money and the criteria for the way it distributes that money to a variety of organizations. There's a variety of ways that you can check us out. Certainly, CincyCrown.com is the website. You can check us out on YouTube. Mixlr is a way to listen to the show live if you're driving around at lunch. Caught in the drive-thru, perhaps. Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart Podcasts. We're over the air on 19.3 and the various sundry channels on Alta Fiber and Spectrum. For First Word back at noon. Excuse me, First Word back tomorrow, 7 a.m. We're back at noon tomorrow. That might be a fun April Fool's Day thing, right? Switch it around. See this face sitting in there 7 in the morning trying to talk sports? Let's do that sometime. Hey, thank you for watching. We really appreciate it. Watching here on The Crown. We're producing lots of great shows every day. Nat Tries That, Nat Jones Show, and of course Paul Fritchner with the Rebound Rundown. Really appreciate you clicking and sharing and watching what we do. It means a lot. We are building something here, and you are a big part of that. Very grateful to you. We got to go. We're back tomorrow. Big Thursday show here, The Working Lunch. Thanks for watching.